So I was in entrepreneurship before I even understood that my intellectual property alone was a multi-million dollar gift. I will also sit in rooms and people will ask me about ideas, and ideas just came to me. Like they just flow out of me. I've always been like that since I was a kid. So nothing, I didn't think that this was a gift because it was normal to me. It wasn't until I started sitting in rooms and people are like, Ebony, what do you think about this? As I'm talking, they're taking notes. It wasn't until like, hey, Ebony, I need to pick your brain. We really value what you think or what you bring to the table, or what makes your brain even think like that? Where do you get these things from? This was normal to me. So I didn't even know that the gift necessarily was a gift because I had been operating in it for so long.
Grace and peace, grace and peace. Welcome to another episode of the Legacy Inspired Podcast, where I'm your host, Randy. It's another day above ground. And so today is going to be another great and phenomenal and remarkable episode. I have a special guest coming to speak directly to you. You know how I do it. I'm not going to even introduce her. I'm just going to bring her on and clear out all of the fluff. We're just going to get into the meats and potatoes of this thing. Let me go ahead and bring her on right now. Oh, there she go.
Come on,
there she go.
Meats and potatoes.
There she go. Let's go. Let's go. We have my girl. We got my girl. Listen, tell the people who you are. I don't think I have the justice of even mentioning your name. You are so high level. So I'm gonna just go ahead and take a back seat.
Cut it out. Cut it out.
Listen, tell the people who you are.
I am Ebonie Gipson. I am a serial entrepreneur. I have a few different businesses, a consulting agency called I'm Building Something Consulting, LLC. I also have a notebook company called Visionary Notebooks. I have another company called Not Your Ordinary Vision Board Party. I have a bath and body care company called Lola and Dot. And I also have an apparel brand called Positivity Apparel. So those are my main business.
So Ebonie, is that what it? So when people say they are a serial entrepreneur, that's what they're saying? That they have multiple businesses?
Multiple businesses. And I would just say I'm a multi-brand builder. That's okay. Really what it boils down to. Yeah. Okay. I'm just out here in these entrepreneur streets trying to flex every muscle God gave me.
I see, man. How are you doing are you making money from all of this?
All of them are revenue generating. I will say right now, Lola and Dot is in a bit of a, I don't even want to say rebrand. We did a pilot launch, a soft launch last August or the August before. And that was the first business where I said, hey, this is a business that is revenue generating, but I can take my time building this one out. So we've been in ideation phase, sifting through right products, getting customer feedback. So that's the first business that I've literally just sort of taken my time, and there's no rush to get to the revenue as much as it is building a sustainable business that I can be proud of. That's my first legacy brand, meaning Lola and Dot is actually my two grandmothers' names. So Lorraine, we called her Lola. That was my dad's mom. And Dorothy, we called her Dot. That's my mom's mom. And so that's where Lola and Dot came from. So it's literally built off of the legacy of my grandmothers and my aunts. And that's the business that I plan on passing on to my nieces so they can carry legacy and have a revenue generating company.
Wow. And much respect to your dad. Me and Ebonie go way back, y'all.
Way back.
We go way back. I actually played football, and your dad was my coach.
Yep.
Coach Gipson. Shout out to him. Blessing to our lives. He was hard on us. But we ended up winning A lot of gains
Absolutely.
because of him. Ebony, you've been, and I've been watching you, Ebony, and hats off to you and all of what you have accomplished. Because most people know you as, and I'm gonna just expose you just a little bit. Most people know you as a vocalist. Can I? Am I all right?
You
Hello,
are
church.
right.
Most people have boxed you into just being a vocalist. When did this entrepreneurial spirit? When did you first discover this entrepreneurial spirit?
So here's the thing, entrepreneurship has been a part of my entire life. I tell people all the time, my mom was the first entrepreneur I knew and fell in love with. As I was growing up, my mom was a seamstress, and I mean, making fire dresses for proms. She was just a creative. She made these Easter baskets every year, and I saw her utilize her gifts and generate revenue. But that was entrepreneurship before it was a buzzword or even a really big thing. And so I've been around that creativity and entrepreneurship
Mhm.
all of my life. So I grew up in a household where I saw my mom take risks. I saw her
Mhm.
literally take her gifts and allow them to make room for her and take her gifts and generate revenue. And then also impact other people's lives through her creativity. So that was entrepreneurship is literally embedded in me. Like is I'm carrying a legacy. The things that you see me doing, honestly, is carrying out the legacy that what that God blessed me with.
Right.
And so when I was younger, she was a seamstress, or she is a seamstress, and she used to have different, just random scraps of fabric all over the house. She had her sewing room. I was so fascinated with this room. Like, I went through all the boxes. I just needed to
Right.
know everything that was in her system, right?
Right. Right.
So I would take her scraps of fabric and like sew up these different purses, like and make purses out of the fabric that she had left over. And so I think that was really when I got into like executing an idea and then turning it, like seeing it actualize. And from there, one of my best friends reminded me that I was in high school. That I'm probably aging myself, but we used to have the keychains that you would make. I didn't even
Right.
realize that I was making these keychains and charging people for these
Wow.
keychains in middle school and high school. So,
Wow.
and then also, I did hair when I was younger. So I want to say I started doing hair maybe at the age of 11 or 12. And so I
Okay.
was generating revenue as a back of the house. My mom set up an extra room for me after she acknowledged my gift and saw that I was serious about growth. She took a
Hmm.
spare room in the back of our house, allowed me to turn it into a beauty shop. And so at the age of between 12, I want to say 12 through maybe 23 or 24,
Okay.
I was there. My aunt was my first. Shouts out to Aunt Sheila Grant. Well, Sheila, she ain't Sheila. We go call her Sheila, okay? But
All
she
right, Sheila.
my first recurring customer. So entrepreneurship, I've been in business for a very long time. I was making money as a business owner before even knowing I was a business owner at 12 and 13 years old, just utilizing my gifts, but understanding that there was a revenue generating component attached to them.
So you've been. So do you think you would be an entrepreneur today if you wasn't surrounded around that entrepreneurial environment?
I believe that the gift came from God, like the ability to, well, I believe that we all have the ability to create. I believe that we all have gifts that make room for us. I think some of the challenging parts of that is yes, we have gifts. Yes, we believe that they will make room for us, but what does that room look like? And this a whole nother subject for a whole nother day. But I think, society has sort of shaped our thought process on how we execute or how we use those gifts. But God gave us that creativity with the intention to make room, with the intention to build, with the intention for our needs to be supplied. Like the Garden of Eden, he gave Adam dominion and authority over
Right.
everything. And so I do believe that that falls in line with our gifts. And I believe that our gifts also allow us to have dominion and authority in the earth.
So what? So I have. What about those that? How do you discover if you have a gift?
I will
Uh,
say, I didn't really understand what my gift was. I maybe didn't realize that it was actually a gift until maybe in the past 5 to 10 years. And I've been in entrepreneurship for 7 years. So even understanding, going through the phase of entrepreneurship, I still didn't know that certain things were a thing. Like I've always been interested in systems and how things work ever since I was a little girl. So figuring out problems or finding problems and figuring out the solutions. I didn't want the toys because they were fun to play with. I wanted the toys because I wanted to open them up and see like how do they work? How do they
mm,
function? Or if there was something wrong with the toy, I wasn't the type that would just say, I don't want the toy anymore. I'm like, let's figure out what's wrong because obviously it can be fixed or obviously there's a system to it. I grew up just being that way, right? I didn't understand that this was just God shaping me and molding me. So I've always been interested in people, how they think, how to help them be better. I score high on empathy with personality tests. And so all of these things, I'm very concerned about people's development and growth. So much so when I was working retail management, I was way more invested in their personal lives and their lives when they punched the clock that I tried to intertwine like, okay, I was a retail manager doing the most. Some
mhm,
people appreciated it, some people hated it because I went against the grain. I
mhm.
literally said, okay, this is your job title, but here's the strategy and your development plan. That wasn't necessarily in my role, but my desire to help develop people and help manage and get them to the next level, that's just what it was. So all of these things were parts of me that I couldn't always make sense of. I'm like, why do I care so much? Why
How
can't
do
I
you?
just punch the clock? You know,
How,
like,
right. How do you develop people? You said you develop people. What what
yeah,
what
so
what does
well,
that look like?
management. So retail management. So when people would come to my store or under my management, especially my on my way out of retail, my philosophy was this. Yes, people come in and they work for you and they collect the check. But if I'm invested in who they are outside of their associate number and the duties that they are required to perform in that role, we both win. Why? Because I can literally say, what is your like what's your game plan? What is your career path? What do we
Mhm.
have that can line up with your career path? Because I know you're
Right.
not going to be here forever. But what can I do as a leader or as you're working under this roof? What can I do to help you along the way for something that matters far greater than this role that you clock in and clock out of? For instance, there was a young lady who came to us and she was going to school to become a teacher. She loved to teach and train people. Okay, cool. When she came in, she got acclimated with the system. We trained her and she started training employees. So when they would come in, be hired, she was one of the first people that they would engage with. And what we did, we gave her a title within the store. She was an associate trainer. Guess what she's able to do? She's able to take that experience and that role and apply that to her resume. Is also cultivating and investing in her skill set beyond the punch of the clock, and we saw greater results when we had a better investment in our team outside of their role that they were getting paid for. Now, I would get in trouble sometimes because my boss
Right.
is like, look, let them punch the clock, let them clock in and clock out. What's the productivity? But I knew then too, again, you start to try to figure out why you're wired the way you're wired. I knew that there was something within me that just desired to make sure people got to their next level. And it didn't necessarily have to do with just where they were at that moment. So I'm the manager that want to know about what's your 5-year and 10-year plan. That has nothing to do with me. But maybe in this moment, while I'm connected with you, I can plant a seed or help you get to that level easier or more efficiently if there's something that I can do to play that role in your success. And so I didn't realize that that's literally development. You just
Right.
love to develop people. So I will also sit in rooms and people will ask me about ideas, and ideas just came to me. Like they just flow out of me. I've always been like that since I was a kid. So I didn't think that this was a gift because it was normal to me. It wasn't until I started sitting in rooms and people are like, Ebonie, what do you think about this? As I'm talking, they're taking notes. It wasn't until like, hey, Ebonie, I need to pick your brain, or hey, Ebonie, I need you to be in this room because we value, or we really, we really value what you think or what you bring to the table, or what makes your brain even think like that? Where do you get these things from? This was normal to me. So I didn't even know that the gift necessarily was a gift because I had been operating in it for so long. So I was in entrepreneurship before I even understood that my intellectual property alone was a multi-million dollar gift. Once I came into the knowledge of that, then I have to be a good steward over what I was aware of. Because at first, it's just, hey, here's
Right.
all
Right.
the ideas. Here you go. Once
What?
I became aware, I had to start stewarding and managing it appropriately because that gift was supposed to make room for me too.
Right. That's wonderful, man. That you realize you have a gift. And the thing is, a lot of people don't realize that they have a gift. And even those that don't realize that they have a gift, they're operating in the gift, but they're so desensitized in the giving, they don't
Yeah,
realize what they have. They
that's
don't
good.
realize. Ebony, why you care so much?
Why do I care so much? Um, I know what it's like to have to figure out, have to try to compromise between purpose and paycheck. Like I remember being on certain jobs and I knew like I am a workaholic. So if you give me something, I'm gonna give my all to it. But I was getting to a place where although I was working very hard, I didn't feel like I was invested enough in my purpose. Like, this is cool, but the things that my heart and my spirit really yearns and desires to do, this is okay, but this isn't it. But I remember choosing paycheck over purpose, or even having, and I'm like, why does this even have to be a decision that we make? Like, it just didn't feel right to me. And so I prayed and I'm like, God, I know that there's more. I know that there's something else out there. I know this is good work, but it's not purposeful work. So help me to get on the path of purposeful work. My job, I was doing very well, literally climbed from stock associate to store manager. Even in that space, God did some amazing things, but I knew that there was so much more. And so when I finally prayed to God, I'm like, you got to show me how to have more faith in you. You got to show me how to have more trust in you. And I know that this isn't it. So what is it? Like, how do I get to the end of my life? And I'm pleased with the work that I've done. I've impacted the world in a way that I can be proud of and pleased with. And so the next thing I knew as I was in prayer and on this journey, God was like, hey, it's time for you to quit your job.
Just like that.
Listen. And so God had been patient with me because I was supposed to quit a year before, but God gave me grace.
What
I
year was
asked
this?
God, this was 2015, I want to say. 2015, there was a store, the whole chain was closing down. So I had an opportunity. I could.
What's the name of the chain?
This was Casper. It was under 9 West. And so the whole division was closing. So they gave us an option. We could take severance pay. And at that time, I was actually I had a hair extension company. So I was selling hair extensions before it was this big old thing, just out of a problem to solve. I got tired of buying whack weave, and I'm like, hey, I know someone else has the same issue, so here you go. I found a plug. Let's generate revenue. And so I was supposed to pursue that even further, but someone presented me with the job opportunity, and it was the most money I'd ever made. And I'm like, okay, God, just give me a year.
How much money did you make from that?
From the, that was, I think, 55 to 60,000. Like, that was, and I'm like, all in one place. You got to understand.
Just from selling hair?
No. So somebody offered me another management position.
Okay.
And so I'm like, okay, I cannot, if I do this right, I can work here a year. I can live off of one check, save the other. Lord, I'm gonna be out in a year. Got there, forgot the promise I made to him, got super complacent, wasn't saving money, was spending money. And then I did what I typically do. Like, I got comfortable and I was trying to figure out, okay, so how do I navigate through this system? How do I move up within the company? What are the next steps? And I made a commitment to God, just give me 1 year and I'm out. So I forgot about the commitment that I made to him. And he came to collect on that commitment. And he like, it's time to go.
I come to get my rent. I'm trying to get my rent money.
And so at that time, it was like, it's time to go. It's time for you to quit your job. It's time for you to move on.
And you just quit like that. Did you have any money?
So I was supposed to be saving. I had some money saved. I talked it over with my mom. I talked it over with the people that were very close to me. And I knew that I had some money tucked away, but I also hadn't used like vacation time. And I'm like, okay, but at this point, it's like, God was like, it doesn't matter. It's time for you to go. Now, I could have had a less stressful startup journey if I would have been obedient and saved the way I was supposed to. But the thing is, when it's like entrepreneurship and kingdom building, if God said it's time to go and you didn't do what you were supposed to do, you can't disobey because you got to come over here and save the money that you were supposed to save. Now, God still covered me, but I could have been in a much better position if I had been a better steward over the time that I asked him to give to me. So that year was supposed to be saving and preparation. He gave me the grace to do so. I did not. So when it was time for me to move, hey, it's time to go. And God didn't give me any specific instructions about like what was next, because part of my prayer to him was, show me how to have more faith in you. Show me how to trust you more. And I'm looking for what's next. What do you want from me? Part of my journey was to have a level of faith and trust that I had never had to have before for anything else.
Why did you ask him, show me how to have more faith in you instead of give me more faith?
Because I've been in church.
There's a difference.
Life. Yes.
There's a difference.
Yeah, been in church all my life. I don't think that I had an issue with faith as much as I did having an issue to apply it personally to me. I could believe and pray, hope, intercede, and have faith for other people. When it came down to believing what God could do for Ebonie, that was the struggle. I've seen him do miracles. I've seen him perform. I've seen him do many, many things. But when it came down to, but can God do it for Ebonie? I struggle with that. Being in ministry for years, being saved, growing up in a household where I saw God perform miracles. But I was struggling with self-worth, feeling like, do I even qualify for what you say you can do? I know you can do it, but I don't necessarily feel like I'm even worthy enough of that. So God, show me how to have more faith in you as it relates to me. Because
What do
I
you
didn't struggle with him doing something for someone else. I didn't know for sure if he would do it for me. That was the reality.
why where do you think that stemmed from?
I think it boils down to just like not necessarily knowing your full worth. I think sometimes we also don't necessarily understand the depth and the love of God. Like the
Mhm.
fact that there is nothing that we have done that's so wrong that He can't find us, that He can't reach for us, that He can't deliver us, that He can't set us free, and that His love is so all encompassing. Like I think I struggle with understanding the love of God, like what it really feels like. And so that was my prayer. And Randy, I remember when I quit my job and I was just like, I was on the high, like, woo, look at me, Lord, living in
Mhm.
faith. And then once the hype settled, it was like, what in the world did you just do? And it was like the enemy and doubt, and it was just eating up and eating at my mind and my thought process. And I
How did you
remember,
fight through that? How did you
I
fight through
remember,
that? You
like I
quit it.
literally, I was like, God, you got to help me. Like, I'm out here. Like, this is literally the conversation. God, I'm out here. Like, I'm out here and I'm in a space that I have never been. I've never quit a job. Randy, you talking about somebody that used to work 3 jobs, okay? Because I'm gonna
Mhm.
get the bag. I'm out here. And I need you to let me know that I'm not out here alone. And so I was praying that to God. And I remember in that moment, it was like I could physically feel someone hugging me and wrapping their arms around me. Like I never felt the peace of God and the assurance of God so tangible in my life. And I heard God say, I will not let you fail. And at that moment, that like that assurance, the peace of God, like I hadn't you sing and you hear people talking about blessed assurance. You think
Mhm.
that's some old school jingle, but when you literally can feel like I felt the comfort of God rest
Yes.
on me. And I had never experienced his love and his assurance in that way before. And then you assure me that you won't let me fail. Oh, it's only up from here. And
It's
so
all
that's
good.
like, and so I wanted to mention that too, because yeah, you take the leap of faith, but what about the conversations and the dialogue that you have after you leap? Because you're trying to figure out after you take that leap, am I floating or am I falling? Sometimes it's like you don't know which one you're doing. Like, am I falling to the ground or am I actually floating? And so, as an entrepreneur, especially when you take a leap like that, you have to, I just had to remain close to God and literally keep declaring, going back to the space where I knew I felt him in the most tangible way, and going back to the promise that he made me, that he would not let me fail. And I've had to revisit that several times over, just being an entrepreneur for 7 years. It's like entrepreneurship is up and down, but when things are down, I can rest on the promise that God gave me and the tangible assurance that I felt from him.
Mm, mm. Ebony, this is good, man. This is good, and I believe somebody's going to be blessed by that story and that story of perseverance and resilience, and really going after it, and in spite of what you see, in spite of the negative realities of the moment. I really believe somebody is going to be blessed for that. Let's take it a little further
Yeah.
because I want to dig deep into these multiple businesses that you have. Why in the world you got so many businesses? Do you need all of those?
Do I need all of them? I
Because
don't think.
because I mean the person that's hearing all of this, man, they're gonna be like, man, nah, I can't do what she do.
No, it's no pressure to be me. What I know that I'm called to is the multi-business builder. Like, I know that God has called me to, like, I'm not just exclusively helping the multi-business builder, but I know that I'm called to that space. One of the things that I used to struggle with, especially starting in business, is like, niche down, niche down, niche down, get to your one niche down. And I
Right.
don't think there's anything wrong with clarifying direction, but for those people that are multi-gifted, multifaceted,
Mhm.
multi-talented, for some people that is a guide, for other people that's a prison. And so I remember struggling because I'm like, how can I niche down when I am overflowing with creativity and ideas and these things that are in my heart? Not just because I'm like, oh, let me flip through social media. Oh, so and so is doing that. No, these things are literally coming out of me. This is being birthed within me. And I started to be so frustrated because, God, why give me all of this? You're giving me this. Kingdom is giving me this. Society
Mhm.
is saying, pick one.
So you don't believe in niching down?
I believe in clarifying your direction. I do believe that some people are multi-gifted and
How
multifaceted, and you're able to operate multiple spaces at once.
how do you do that though? How do you clarify your direction? Show me, show me, show
So
me, show me how to clarify my direction.
when people say niche down, I got an issue with that word. That word kind of makes it.
I don't like it neither. And the thing is, I hate that word too. But I want to hear your take on it. I want to
But
hear
I
your
do
take on it.
believe that I do believe that you need focus. I do believe that you need strategy. I do believe that you need intention, and you have to have a game plan. I do believe that we can also be so busy sometimes that we don't focus in enough to be productive or to be efficient. I'm not talking about that space though. I'm talking about I grew up I'm able to write, I'm able to sing. I have other skill sets as well. So I've always grown up with multiple talents. And I don't think, oh, I can sing better than I can write. I think they're both very strong skill sets. I also have the gift of development and leadership. I'm
Mhm.
not putting them on a ranking system to say, oh, okay, this one comes in at level 4, this one comes in at level 5. No, God gave me these gifts. So how do I steward them? I also think that it's a little different when it comes down to kingdom. I don't believe that God gives us gifts and say, okay, hey, you pick one and just roll with that one. I believe as a kingdom business builder, if God is giving you those multiple gifts, those multiple skill sets, those multiple areas that He's giving you favor, dominion, creativity in, and authority in, God wastes nothing. So are we
Mm.
supposed to niche down and say it's like when the gift of the story of the many talents. It's
Let's
like,
talk
okay,
about the talents, Ebony.
like, do we pick one and just say, oh, okay, God, you gave me all of these, but society says pick one and run with it. It just, if that might not be your journey when you're called to multiple spaces. And the reason why I'm so passionate about this too is because I remember growing up in school and I had a problem with pick your career, live in that career, retire in that career. Boom, you live the life.
Right.
What about other things that are in me? What about these other skill sets I have? And the thing is, when we were growing up, that was the template. Now, fast forward, there are many more options, and people don't even frown upon you if you switch careers now or if you choose to go in a totally different direction. I can't say that was welcome when I was coming up and graduate. It was like pick a career, stay there, retire, keep it moving.
Right.
And so
Right.
I struggled with, I struggled with being in the box. I've never been comfortable with the box. And so once God started showing me too, like, I'm going to show you and give you strategy on how to build these multiple things, because also there are other people like you that have been trying to accommodate the box and are extremely uncomfortable, extremely unfulfilled, and extremely unsatisfied because they weren't designed for the box. And there's nothing wrong with the box. It's just not my design. So that's
That's
where
a bar, man. That's a bar. Hold on.
multiple businesses and ideas came from, because I can't just sit on them. There's a part of me, I used to get so frustrated with God because I'm like, why do you keep giving me all these ideas? There's no way I'm going to get all of this done in life. This was before I started.
Why? Like, and that's my thing. We got all of these ideas, and sometimes I hate entrepreneurship. Sometimes I hate entrepreneurship. While on this journey, I'm still working a 9 to 5. And then sometimes I hate it. Like, why am I exposed to all of this? I want to do this, I want to do that, and I want to do this. But then again, I'm like, what do you do? It's entrepreneurship can be frustrating.
It can be.
It is. I think somebody said. I think my guy Madi said it. I may mess it up. He said entrepreneurship is an expert sport that average people are welcome to play.
Now that's real talk. That's real talk. Yep.
My
Anybody
Lord.
can come in, but it's an expert.
Shout out to Madi Woodard. I was like, dude, like, seriously?
Yep.
Seriously?
And it's very frustrating. It is. And I look at one of the things that as a business coach, because I have the consulting agency, one of the things that I try to express and help people see, even before you quit your job, is how you divvy out your time and investment. Like, I remember part of my challenge was not having enough time. Part of my challenge was giving the role too much time and not giving my purpose and my passion projects and the things that mattered more to me adequate enough time. Because I would easily go in, punch a clock, punch a salary clock. I would easily get paid for 40, could work 38, but ended up working 60 because that was just my work ethic, right? But if someone would have sat me down and said, hey, I know you're frustrated, I know whatever, but let me show you how to do it. Work the hours that you need to work for what you're getting paid for, but get up in the morning and invest in what matters most to you first. So then you are a little more fulfilled. You're investing in purpose and destiny, and you're not locked into this job so much, because what was happening, I was working too much, and then I had very little, if anything, left to invest in everything else around me. So I encourage people, especially when they're like, Ebonie, I'm ready to quit. Before you quit, flip the model. Figure out how to invest in your purpose and your destiny in your business first, and give everything else the rest, even if that is you getting up an hour earlier before work to say, I'm putting in that work, whether it's writing, whether it's casting vision, whether it's watching a YouTube video, whether it's pressing the t-shirts before you go to work, because you're investing in purpose first. And then the job don't feel as taxing either, because it gets the rest of you, but your business or your purpose gets the best of you. And I think what a lot of people struggle with at the time that they're ready to leave, they're so frustrated with where they are in life because there hasn't been a very healthy investment into what matters most to them. So it's like, I'm just ready to quit. I'm just ready to risk it all. If God didn't tell you to do that, let me give you some wisdom on how, if he gives you that.
Right.
If he gives you that, that's one thing. But until you get to that place, you can flip the model. And a lot of times people have a little more grace, a little more fight within them, because they're investing differently then.
That's good, man. That's good. You definitely got to invest, and I'm definitely calculating my steps, uh, transitioning from my job to
Yeah,
entrepreneurship. I want to quit, Ebony.
understood.
I want to quit today. I want to quit right now.
Understood. And I'm not that person. My journey is I have to quit to be obedient. And
Ebony, I want to quit. I want you to coach me through it, coach. Coach
let's
me through
go.
it. Coach
Listen,
me through
yeah, there
it.
people hit me up like I quit. Let's go. I definitely will run the journey with you. I will
Yes.
also apply wisdom though and say, hey, just make sure that you've counted up the cost and that you are in a position where nothing lacks
Right.
in the decision to pursue this journey. Because even right now, to my journey would have been easier. I would not have had to rely on God to do certain things like pay a phone bill and send $400 my way that I didn't have if my obedience in my exit or preparation to exit looked differently. Now, God showed grace and God came through, but I'm not going to sit up here and act like he also didn't try to set me up a lot better. And I didn't move in obedience and proper preparation on my way out the door.
Got you. Got you.
Yeah.
Ebony, and so you said you've been coaching,
Mhm.
on social media, in the social media space. Everybody is a coach. Why is
Everybody.
that? Why is that? Like, how you become like? Is this something you bestow on yourself, like the title of bishop, or
I, you know,
like how?
I
And I'm not
don't,
saying
I,
I believe you are a coach. I believe you. I believe you are integral. I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. I believe it.
I
But
think anybody can be a coach, but when it boils down to it, who wins the games? And I learned that from my dad. Like that comes from Longfellow days. Okay, like
right,
everybody can
L Dub.
everybody can be a coach, but where the efficiency and effectiveness shows is how the team plays, how you win the games, how you get to the championships, and also the experience that puts you in the position to be a coach.
Do
And
you have to
so
be certified? Do you,
you don't have to be certified to be a coach. I
okay.
think certification and adequate experience I think it's a good look. What worked for me was I spent 15 years in retail management before I opened the doors of a consulting agency. So, experience managing multi-million dollar stores, hiring, recruiting, training, opening grand openings, store closings, team development, training other managers. Actually on my way out, I was a district trainer. So there is experience there in business, leadership development, and sales revenue generation. And so I think that the experience has to be there because I also know some certified people. I know people that are certified and don't have results. That's not just coaching. I think what it boils down to is being able to show what you're able to do and being able to create systems and sustainability that doesn't just work in your brand, but you have the proof of concept. You have the results to show that the work you're doing brings about adequate change or or provides a good product. So yeah, it's a lot of people that's being a lot of things because it's so easy to be anything right now. But I think some of
Mhm.
the questions, even if you're looking for a coach, some of the questions that you should ask is, what is their experience and background? What are some of their success stories, or do they have case studies to support? Are do you have any clients that we could possibly talk to that could give us insight on your work? I don't think when you're investing in that way, I don't think that those are wrong questions to ask. Um, if you're getting you're making an investment and you're getting in a relationship with someone that is going to be walking very closely with you in your business. You want to make sure, no different than hiring an associate or a manager within your business, you want to make sure to the best of your ability that they are the right person for the role.
How much do you charge to coach people?
So I have several different tiers. I have an executive.
Several.
I do.
My
Um,
Lord.
I have an
My Lord,
executive.
Ebony. They gotta climb up the rough side.
You got to climb up the rough side. Listen, this has been 7 years in the making, and I've learned a lot along the way. And so that's some of the lessons that I've learned is just making sure that you have some places where people can fit comfortably,
Right.
because business people are on different levels in business. And while everyone is not my client, I do believe that there are programs and tools and resources that I have in place that allow for me to service more people at once. So there is a group coaching tier, there is a mastermind tier,
How much?
and
How much? How much is? How much are these? I want to hear numbers. I want to hear numbers.
so executive coaching starts at 20,000, and that is for the year. Don't listen. Don't do that, Dan. And that is by that's by application only, because that our executive coaching program, we are working alongside of you like the engine in your business. So you get to move like there's a team of 7 behind you, but it's really the bandwidth that we have to walk alongside you, assist with campaign management, strategic planning, brand management as well. So there's so much that comes with the executive coaching program. Some of
Okay.
our network becomes your network, our lawyer becomes your lawyer, our event coordinator becomes your event coordinator.
Oh
It's
wow.
many components to that piece.
So
And
you
then
got the 20 G a year.
and then
What's the next one?
so I'll start. Let me flip it. So standard
Flip it.
consultations are
Okay.
$247 an hour. I run
Hold on.
special.
Say that again. You say how much?
Standard consultations are $247 an hour.
Two
So
forty seven an
I
hour.
run specials here and there. There's a Christmas promo that's coming out. So if that's a bit steep, then I just always tell people to, catch a promo. I do those every now and then. And there's also a group coaching program. So the group coaching program is $97 a month. Very,
Okay.
very affordable. That's a monthly, we have a monthly focus. And then you also get some one-on-one time with me every month. And then from there, we have our different proposals, and that's really based on that's project based. So
Mhm.
we do a lot of grant openings, we do a lot of product launches. So sometimes we have services that are specifically for projects only. So that would be, hey, let us know what services you need, and we present a proposal to you that works best for what you need.
And are these digital services? Are you working with brick and mortar, or are these businesses that have digital
They're
platforms?
both.
Okay,
They're both. Yep.
got you, got you. She said I have
Yep.
several tiers. Come on, several tiers, several tiers.
But I
That's
do
what's
have a
up.
free Facebook community as well. So I
That's dope.
often go in there, drop gems, tools, and resources. But where we're shifting within our brand, like I said, it's been 7 years, and I've learned a lot along the way. So what my desire is,
What did you learn? I'm
as
sorry.
God is shifting me, huh?
What did you learn?
Now we ain't got time for every lesson, but through through these 7 years, I know that where I'm headed now is my main clientele. My goal for this next season, or whatever you want to call it, is to be a
Uh-huh.
better support to the multi business owner or the multi brand builder. So
Got
showing you how to manage those multiple businesses, because some of us don't have the luxury of building one up, getting it to $1 million, because you got several fires that are burning and you need to have some support to uphold all fires burning. And so my goal is to work more closely with those multi-brand business owners and help support their efforts through brand management, strategic planning, and coaching.
Ebonie, are you doing all this by yourself? Do you have a team?
I will say I have a lot of partners. And I had team members when I started out, but I feel like it's a lot easier to
What's
outsource.
okay? Okay.
Yep. So
So when
we
you say
have,
you have partners, what does that look like? Because I mean, like what all of what you just shared,
mhm,
someone would assume that you have an actual team that
yep.
you're paying to do this.
Yep. So we have graphic designers as a part of our team. We have project managers as a part of our team, administrative assistants as a part of our team. We also have people that help with product creation and product manufacturing. So that we really work it's really cooperative and collaborative building. Yeah.
That's
And so what I found was I have a lot of amazing friends and colleagues in this space. I personally don't want to operate a team of 40, but I would love to collaborate with multiple partners, and I can outsource these services to you. I can outsource these services to you. I can outsource these services over here to you, and we help one another in back ends of our businesses. So that is the model that I am just okay with for right now.
right. So you don't call them team members, you call them partners.
hmm
Why
Yep,
do why the distinction?
there's no distinction as far as verbiage. It's just I don't want anyone to think like I don't have a full staff. We have partners, we outsource, and we're all business owners working collectively, and that's the way we choose to build. I believe that certain models are appropriate for certain people. I've gone through phases where I've built out the team and had team members and paying out monthly and all of those great things. And that's a heavy undertaking. And so I believe that the most efficient model for me is to continue working with the partners that are experts in their areas. And we have great synergy amongst one another. And we just operate in that way.
Wow.
Yep.
We're getting ready to go to a close, but and because
Not
there's so
to a
much. There's so yeah. I can't back. Hey y'all, man. When I tell you, me and Ebony go way back, man. Church days,
Yes.
multiple musicals. I mean, fellowship throughout the
Yes.
years, man. Just all good. Just all good.
That's crazy.
But
The layers. That's crazy.
there's so many layers, man. And here we are. You
Here we are. Who knew?
a serial entrepreneur out here with partners with high tickets. I love it. I love it. I love all of it. I love all of it. I love all of it. Listen, for the person that's working a 9 to 5, because that's my audience.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure it out. What would you tell them on how to start a business? They want to start a business. They got all of these. They just like yourself,
Mhm.
multifaceted, and they're trying to figure things out. They got this gift. Please speak to them. Tell them how to navigate through that.
I think the first thing is just really identifying, like vision casting, and really doing a strategic plan. The thing
What's
about
vision casting?
So just identifying what your vision is
Gotcha.
as much as you know about it where you are right now. The vision is going to change, the vision is going to alter, it's going to evolve.
Mhm.
But as much as you know about where you're going as it stands right now,
Gotcha.
write that out, get it on paper, identify some sort of tangible strategy, even if you don't know all the answers and the ins and outs, the questions that you can answer, the direction that you can identify, start working with that. I also recommend that you give yourself permission to dream big about the business, because sometimes we can't get past our own limiting beliefs to even cast a vision big enough to start preparing for. And so I struggle with that myself. Like, Lord, give me the courage and give me the freedom to be able to think bigger of what you've given me. And once my vision started to expand, then I could look at this business completely different. And so the strategy looks different. If I look at it as, hey, I'm just going to be a mom and pop, have 2 or 3 clients and move forward in that way, there's a certain strategy for that. If I say I want to be an international business coach, the strategy and the steps that I get to that I utilize to get to that space looks completely different from I want to remain local. From your client avatar to your ad dollars and how you actually speak and communicate with your audience. And so, whatever you know about it as of right now, get it out. I'm a firm believer in writing the vision. And we say the scripture, but write the vision and make it plain. That is strategy. To make it plain is to provide clarity, is to identify steps. And so I think with our vision casting, we kind of stop there and then we don't take the next step, which is what strategy can I create right now and implement with the things that I have in my hand today? Because if you start to identify that, then you don't get stuck in this, well, I can't start until we don't operate from there. We start with what's in your hands now, what can you build now, and what's the necessary next steps. Because even if you took small incremental steps to the vision, you're going to still get there. It's when we pause and think we can't move at all because we don't have all of the necessary pieces in order to implement anything. So figure out what you can implement now, understand what you need to implement later, and start to build out a strategy that supports both. Because if I know that down the line I'm going to need more, then I can plan for more. I can anticipate more. I can understand that need and desire, but I can still build where I am with the full understanding, or as much as I can in this space, that there's more to do. But if I'm just sort of going wherever the wind flies, then it's very hard for you to focus and buckle down and actually execute with efficiency. So cast the vision. Don't be afraid to let the big dreams fly on the wall. Get them out there. And it is statistically proven that you're 3 times more likely to achieve something just by writing it down. So the other part of getting it out is literally activating your faith and taking it from thought to action, to literally take it from here, to put it on paper, cast the vision, write the vision. That is an act of faith in itself. So you're already taking steps of implementation just to get it from thought out of your brain onto something to where you can start to build out a strategy and system around it.
Is that why you started the journaling business?
I started the journal business because I've always loved journals myself. I have about, at this point, there's no telling, I have a few hundred at this point. But I started that business because there is a need for my target audience. We're dreamers, we're vision casters. We write things down as ideas come to us. We need to be able to have a place to house that creativity as God downloads. You don't want to miss things. And so you need a place to literally write the vision. And so that came from why not provide a solution for my target audience, that why not provide a solution? And that's where the notebook company came from, is literally solving a problem for my target audience.
That's good. And I mean, that came about, and I was going to ask you about it, but it's funny you mentioned casting the vision. That your business about journaling came to my mind. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking that, I'm gonna actually send people to you. I'm gonna send
Yeah.
people to you. So show people. I mean, how can people get in contact with you? Because
So you can
and
go
we're gonna
to,
put it. We're gonna put it down in the show notes on YouTube and all of the different platforms. But please let people know how they can get a hold of you. How can they connect with you? How can they patronize your services if they're
absolutely.
interested?
You can go to www.eboniegipson. My name is spelled EBONIEGIPSON.com. That'll let you know a little bit more about who I am, what I do, and the different ways that you can access.
Awesome, awesome, Ebony. We're gonna put it down in the show notes. This has been a phenomenal episode uh, with Ebony Gipson, aka "I'm Building Something." If y'all have heard that song has been echoing virally throughout social media. I've used it a few times in my video,
Do
and
you
I
know
just
what
like
is so crazy about that, Randy? Like,
yeah,
we did the song. Shout out to Dan J. Williams,
yeah,
Imagination.
Dandre, yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to him, Dandre.
We did that song in 2016, and none of what was happening in that, like, it was literally, I didn't know at the time, but it was a prophetic declaration. Like, none of that stuff was happening at the time that the song was written. I didn't even,
You didn't know what you was building.
I had no clue. And the crazy thing is, we were like, man, we felt like, it was our first mixtape. We felt like, we could have done so much more to promote it, all these things, and you kind of feel like you missed the moment. When I tell you, God has brought that song back around
Full circle.
full
Full circle.
6 years later, like, people hit me up all the time, like, hey, so and so is using your song in their room, and a seed that God gave us in 2016 is still making room in 2023 and 2024, and not just making little bitty room, like making space.
Yeah.
And so people have found me and acquired services
Because
from
of that.
this song that they have been inspired by, which was really a prophetic declaration. Like,
Wow.
if there are lyrics in that song that's like, write the book. I was nobody's author at that time. Like,
Yeah.
now, yes, I have. So I am blown away by how amazing God is, and just how the scripture reigns true. Like, all things really do work
together for the good. We're gonna end it on that note, man. You just put a bow on this present, and I don't know no other way to end this podcast by just saying, listen, y'all need to listen to this woman of God. Seriously, listen, go patronize her services. Whatever she has to offer is definitely going to be worth it. And she is dedicated and committed to getting you to the next level. And so without further ado, listen, I'm going to see y'all on the next episode of the Legacy Inspired Podcast. I'm your host, Randy. I got Ebonie Gipson here. Listen, grace and peace.
You're so good at this.
Grace and peace.